to another episode of the STR Sisterhood. I'm your host, Stacey St. and I am so delighted to be spending a few minutes with you today. Now, before we jump into this episode, you know it, girl, I'm going to share a quote with you that I recently read. And this quote says, "If you take care of your mind, you take care of the world." I couldn't agree more. Those words come to us from founder of the Huffington Post, Arianna Huffington. Now, in this episode, we are sitting down with Aisha Govani, and we are hearing all about her journey in how she got started in real estate investing and what prompted her to start a business actually helping midterm rental owners get corporate bookings. My friends, if you are interested in the midterm rental space, you will definitely want to tune in to this episode. So without further ado, let's jump into my conversation with Aisha. So today we are joined by Aisha Govani, and we are talking all about midterm rentals. Aisha, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Stacey. I'm really excited about our conversation today.
Me as well. Before we dive in, let's have you start by sharing a little bit about who you are and where you live in the world.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm currently in Hamilton, Ontario. That's where I grew up. I was raised. So I managed to shuffle my way back here about 5 years ago after leaving the nest. So a little bit about me is my first decade of work was in the nonprofit sector. I spent a lot of time traveling and working for a nonprofit. And then I met my husband about 10 years ago, and he had been a real estate investor for about 10 years. And that's really how I got my first taste of real estate as an adult, even though as a child, I watched my dad build apartment buildings from the bottom up, collect rent from the tenant, remove the doors, scrub the feces off the walls when they walked out in the middle of the night. And, essentially he was like, don't do this. Don't ever do this. It's a lot of work. Go get a comfortable government job, like your sister, collect a pension and benefits. That's what we want for you. Of course, that's what he told me. So I went and did the total opposite. And so when I met my husband and I learned more about real estate, over the years, I kept asking questions. I started managing our properties. And then we left for Bermuda for about 5 years after we got engaged, had our first child there, and we moved back about 6 months before COVID hit. I had one small 2-year-old, a baby in my belly. We head back to Canada, April 2019. I give birth in July. In January, the world shuts down for 2 years. In the thick of that, we started talking about our future because my husband was in energy efficiency and he had applied for an energy efficiency job. In January, he got hired, and in March, he got laid off because COVID shut down his career. And we looked at each other. We were in my mother-in-law's basement, 2 brand new children, no income. And we're like, now what do we do? Both of our jobs were at that point, like everybody's sort of shut down. And I said, look, you've done so well in real estate. It's been the thing that's kept us grounded for all these years. He's very well-versed in real estate. He does all of our stuff himself. So I really trusted, his opinion. So I said, okay, let's go head first. Let's both go full-time into real estate. So we both started taking our license. Mine took longer because I was home with the kids. He got his done fairly quickly. He got his done first. And then as I was studying for mine, I started looking for jobs. First, I started working for some agents and doing inside sales. I really enjoyed that. I was really good at it. And then my current business partner now, Sarah Larby, who's also a coach and a podcast host herself, she was looking for an executive assistant. And I'd been listening to her podcasts for many years, trying to learn real estate on my own. She hired me and we worked together for about a year. I was helping her run her coaching programs and helping her launch her resort. And she sort of watched me for the year and she said, well, I'm pretty sure you're going to leave me sooner than you are staying my assistant. And I said, well, probably. And she said, let's start a business together. I said, great. What do you want to start? So the first company we started was Sell, Rent, Stay, which was essentially a concept where we were offering, more so senior population that didn't want their money locked into their homes to sell us their home. And then we rented out, almost a reverse of rent to own. Mm-hmm. And that way, because we had met, she had been approached by a few clients who wanted to do that. They were like, can we sell you our property? Can we rent it back from you for the next 10 years because, we're getting older, we don't have anyone. And it actually made a lot of sense because that $1 million trapped in their home, they were then able to use on their medical expenses. So we launched that business. And as you launch your first business, as we all know, they don't always stick. So as the short-term rental bylaws rolled in, which obviously you're very familiar with, she started to talk more about midterm rentals. And we really started to look at what a lot of our students and clients were looking for in order to keep their properties. Because so many of our clients had furnished rentals and could no longer rent them out on Airbnb, which was obviously the main platform. And they were really panicking because they really didn't want to sell. A lot of these properties were being held for their generational wealth. They wanted to give it to their children. They wanted to move their parents into it once they were elderly. And so we decided to launch Midterm Rentals, which is a 30-day plus platform. And we do B2B bookings and onboard hosts. So that's sort of where it brought us today. And in a very long nutshell.
No, it's so interesting. And I love hearing your story. I want to go back to the time when you and your husband were in your in-laws' basement and probably feeling very afraid of what that future would look like. Yeah. I'm curious, during that time, when you were both studying for your real estate license, what was going through your mind at the moment? Was it fear? Was it pure grit? Was it, we have to do this? Talk to us a little bit about your mindset and what it was at that time.
Yeah, so that's a great question because, that was a really trying time for everybody. And I think when trying times come, you can either look at it two ways. And you can either, because I look at my energy ball as as a number, it's 100. So if I take my energy and I'm going to give 100% to this podcast, I don't have it for anything anywhere else. This is where right now, at this moment, my 100% is with you, Stacey. So at that time, I said to him, we can either sit here and we can panic and we can be afraid and we can get sucked into the news. Also, at the same time, my mother-in-law had a big diagnosis of breast cancer at the exact same time. So she's going through chemo upstairs. We're down here and, again, like Liam was only a year and a half. Sophia was brand new. And it was really just do or die, that mentality. I was like, we're either going to just decide and ignore the noise and put our heads down and just go forward, regardless of all of the restrictions around us. We don't know when COVID is going to end. We don't know what's going to happen once you get your license. Everybody then started to get their license, and that's a whole conversation, right? Then that panic arose. But I kind of said to him, look, yes, are there 1 million other realtors entering the industry, but most of them don't own homes, and you've been doing this for, at this point, 15 years. So you already have 15 years of knowledge by buying your own investment properties and managing an investment property. So just target investors, because investors are going to be the ones that understand the knowledge you have and put the value so you'll stand out. But it really came down to just a grit. And anyone who is a parent at that point will realize it doesn't matter if something needs to get done, whether you're going to climb over that bridge that has, sharks beneath it or climb up that tree where the lion is under, you just do it. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I just felt really lucky that we had some sort of answer that I could at least focus on, as opposed to nothing. Because really, in any other career, no one was hiring and everybody was firing. So my husband was an energy efficiency, secured a job in his industry the minute we got back, but ultimately everybody was laid off. So we really didn't have a lot of options. So I did feel lucky that we had come up with the option of real estate and found a little bit of a way. Although once we got our licenses, it wasn't easy, right? Then we realized, okay, it's going to be a lot harder than we had anticipated, but really it was grit, because I always choose grit over fear. Like even now in today's economy, there are so many things and so many mountains that we've had to climb through this business. And there are days I wake up and I'm like, should I be doing this? Is this the right choice? What have I decided to do? Can I even do this? Am I capable of doing what I think I can do? And when those questions come into your brain, you're really the only one that can quiet it. So I always try to choose 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. Won't worry about the rest of the race. And that's me. Yeah.
And you have so many fabulous phrases. You've just dropped, the first one I wrote down was decide, then ignore the noise. And that's one of the things I talk about in my book. And, for anyone who hasn't read it, yes, I'm in the short-term rental space, but my book actually has nothing to do with short-term rentals. It has everything to do with having the right mindset to accomplish whatever it is you want in life, right? And you and I have applied that to our real estate careers or our careers in short-term rentals or midterm rentals. But the fact of the matter is we have to commit to what we want first before we do anything else. And so often what I find, Aisha, and I'm curious if you know other people like this too, where folks might set out to, oh gosh, I want to build a portfolio of short-term rentals or midterm rentals, but they haven't committed. They're fine with just trying. And the thing that I cannot stand about the word try is it automatically gives you an out to not succeed.
Correct.
And so I always share with my coaching students too, like just remove the word try from your vocabulary, unless you're talking about food. And I will try a new dish. But when it comes to short-term rentals, midterm rentals, your entrepreneurship, experiences, remove the word try. We need to commit to what we want.
Correct. It's funny you said that. I literally said to my husband the other day, I said, we can't decide to shoot the basket only if we know we're going to get the shot. Because if you want me to guarantee that we're going to get that shot, I can't do that. So you got to be willing to take that shot, even if we're going to miss 100 times. That 101th time we might get it, but we won't know until we do it. And it's, I said to my son the other day, I said to him, any sport you look at, I said, the person who has the most amount of goals or shots or wins, they also have the most amount of loses. Ever think that the person who's better than you didn't fall down 100 times before they became the best? You have to be okay with falling down, and you have to be okay with continuing to take that shot. Even if you miss the 100 times, you got to be okay with that. Because if you're not okay with that and you're afraid to miss, you're never even going to take that first shot. Then you're just missing out on life. Then you're on the bench your whole life. And what's the point?
Yep. Aisha, I couldn't agree more. And I also think about your experience with Sarah, with the first business that you started. It's the exact same approach. Okay, there may have been a business need. What you were committed to was, listen, we're going to partner and do something successful together. It may not be that your first business that you start is the one that ultimately lands. The point is that you don't give up. If this is something that you love and you're passionate about and you're committed to making it work, where the growth really begins. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. And I guarantee you can attest to this. You are a much different person today just from your journey than you ever were the moment you woke up and said, I'm going to make a different life. And it's that person that you've become that is your gift to your accomplishments, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's fast forward into your story a little bit, where you are obviously collaborating with your hubby in the world of real estate investing. You've got 2 young kiddos that you're raising. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, in the midst of this journey and you building this real estate investing business, and I do want to ask you about your platform as well, you're also beginning to homeschool your kiddos. Talk to us about this.
Yeah. Well, and the funny part is it is because of who I've become today that I just made that decision. And really, I want to be mindful of people who are in the school system, because I grew up in the school system and here I am today before you. So it's not as if, it's not possible to be successful in the school system. But what I had learned was I learned so much more valuable lessons and insights from educating myself that I realized the things I learned in school weren't that valuable to me. And what I had missed out on was the mentorship as I was growing up, to then crave and need it more after I'd graduated and became a working adult. So what we do in homeschool is I don't sit at home in front of a chalkboard and teach my kids the Ontario curriculum. I don't follow the curriculum. I don't believe in the curriculum. think it's outdated and very limiting to the development of our children. So what I've sort of done is both my children observed, my apologies, their interests and their strengths. And then I choose external classes. So there's a whole ecosystem of homeschoolers where teachers and principals have left the school system and are created private classes or private lessons based on their expertise. So I'll sign them up for an art class. I'll sign them up for a pottery class. They go to jujitsu. They go to a math class. So they do different classes that I feel are appropriate for them. I drop them off for an hour and I'll pick them up and then they'll spend the day with us. And we teach them a lot. So they know a lot about business. They know a lot about real estate. They're learning so much more and being exposed to so many different people and so many different things than they would in a classroom. And then they have a much stronger connection with me and their father because they're home with us all the time and we can travel a lot more because we're not tied to their classroom. And so that was really the journey of becoming an entrepreneur taught me what I didn't know and then taught me really hard lessons about things I want to teach my children sooner than later.
Hey girl, if you've ever thought about taking back control from Airbnb, you're not alone. And Lodgify is the tool to do it. Did you know that with Lodgify, you can create your own stunning direct booking website, manage everything from guest communication to payments all in one place, and finally say goodbye to the high OTA fees? Now, here's the best part. STR Sisterhood listeners, you get 20% off all yearly plans, plus free personalized onboarding that's worth over $3,000. Just use code STRSH20 and start building your business your way. That's so fun. And I commend you. I've often said I would be the world's worst homeschool teacher. So I have such a huge amount of respect for moms who tackle that challenge because it is a challenge. I can't imagine that it's easy and you're balancing quite a bit, but I just say kudos to you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Now I want to dive into the topic of midterm rentals and about securing bookings because as you and I chatted a little bit prepping for this conversation, I think so often we hear in the industry how easy, I'm using air quotes around the word easy, it is to be in midterm rentals. And once the guest arrives, yes, it is easy. However, securing bookings for midterm rentals can be quite a big challenge for folks. I want to ask you about the B2B world and corporate world specifically. Did you start off working B2B with your midterm rental portfolio? What did that look like and what challenges did you face?
Yeah, great question. So when we launched the company, you're absolutely right. It is a challenge. And here's why. When you're looking at B2B, when you're looking at midterms of 30 days, you're dancing along the fine line of long-term. So when you're dealing with B2C clients, random people who are coming onto your website and just applying, you really have to screen them because especially now that rents have gone up, long-term tenants are less and less able to qualify to be able to afford the rentals that are out there. So a lot of them just try to skirt in and get into any sort of housing into the midterm because it's available month to month. They don't have to qualify like they do a long-term. So it can be an easy get in and then obviously for the landlord, a hard get out. So we wanted to really make sure we were working for our host. So we started off B2B. And what that took was a whole sales team of cold calling. And we just picked up the phone and we called business after business after business after business. And we've been doing so every day for the last 3 years. And what we're finding more and more is that most massive corporations, they book through a relocation management company. So they already have an established relationship. Now, these relocation management companies are willing to work with us, but they're willing to work with us because I'm a big company that has over 350 listings across Canada and the USA. Now, if you're an individual host and you only have 4 to 5 bookings, let's say in Oshawa, it's going to be really hard for you to get into a B2B, an insurance company, because the insurance companies and those B2Bs don't want to work with 100 different little hosts that have 4 or 5 properties. They just want to work with one company, which is why these big, massive relocation management companies are winning. So when we entered as small fries in the beginning, realized we have a lot of work to do. But what that also told me was why this platform is so important is to give these independent landlords the opportunity to get booking with these B2B corporate guests. And through our platform really is one of the primary ways. Because other than that, all of these RMCs, relocation management companies, have a lot of their own portfolio, which they purchase and they lease out. So they're not open to individual hosts that have furnished rentals like you or I to just list on there like we do on Airbnb. That's why we realized the Midterm Rental Properties platform was so critical, because it is one of the very, very few in which independent hosts from around Canada and the US can onboard, be vetted, and then be connected to these RMCs or these big B2B corporations, insurance companies, relocation professionals, the independent ones, because we make their life easier. But it wasn't easy. I still have to cold call every day. I still have to have these relationships, and I still have to prove what we have to offer after all these years and all these buildings. So is it a wonderful strategy to be a part of? Absolutely. If you can get into the B2B and midterm space, it's a good space to be, but it is a lot of work. And if it is hard for you, don't feel like you're the only one. It is definitely a hard strategy to get across. And that's another reason why we started. When we first launched the business in 2023, me and Sarah launched a course. We've now revamped that course, and we're offering it in August and September. So that's also available. And it breaks down exactly what type of businesses you can contact if you're independently wanting to market your midterm, what type of differences your home should have, what type of locations you should look for when trying to purchase a MTR, or if you already have one, what kind of things to look for in your neighborhood. So for example, you're going to contact the local hospital. You're going to look around. You're going to try to see if anyone is building in your neighborhood or your city. Are any Amazons opening? Are any Walmarts opening? Again, we're being connected to those because we're then connecting to the RMCs, which are the big corps. But I have heard that some people can go on and independently contact, but it's a lot of work and it takes my whole team. So don't feel bad if it's taking time. You just got to keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And that's really interesting. And I'd never really thought about that some of the relocation management companies have their own portfolios. And so they want to push their own portfolio. They don't want to help out individual hosts.
No, most of their portfolios are their own. They purchase them, they lease them, and they fully furnish them and they manage them. So there's no space for external hosts.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to go back to the cold calling piece because I'm not going to expect you to give away all your secret ingredients here, but I'm curious. The topic of cold calling makes people, I'm sure, shudder because even when you're in sales, like you grow up in sales, which I come from a background of sales and account management. I used to call it dialing for dollars, right? Where you dial for dollars every day. And I'm curious from your perspective, what is it about cold calling that makes people so uncomfortable? I think it's because they don't feel comfortable with themselves and what they're going to say. But I'm curious, what have you experienced?
Yeah, I think cold calling is an underrated skill. I think if it's something you can do, you can sell anything. It makes people uncomfortable, I believe, because when you hear the word cold calling, you feel like you're calling someone to force them to buy something. It's like phoning a vegetarian to sell them a cow, right? That's how people feel. They're calling, oh my God, this person doesn't even want to talk to me. They're not expecting my call. They haven't agreed to take my call. And now I'm calling them in the middle of the day and I don't know what they're doing and they're likely going to hang up. We're fortunate in the sense where we are trying to call people. What I would say to anyone who's trying to cold call anything is when you call that person, you speak to them like you're providing a solution for their problem, right? So for example, my team will say, we know you're already dealing with furnished accommodations. How's that going for you? What are you missing in the service that you're getting? And so when they hear that, when we approach them with like, oh, we already know you're doing it and that's cool. We just want to know if we can help you at all. Whatever you're selling, when you phone someone, you're selling a solution instead of a service or a product. That's when cold calling changes. And that's when you feel less, because as soon as someone thinks you're selling them something, they are going to hang up. Mm-hmm. As soon as I hear, this is Mrs. Govani, this is so-and-so duct cleaning, I'm like, oh, thank you very much. right? Like I have no moments and you've just pissed me off because I'm like already dealing with 50,000 things. So cold calling can be very nerve wracking, especially if I still have to do it. I'll still pick up the phone on some days. You're just like, I want to get into the weeds and hear what my team is hearing. How are things going? And I told my team, I'm like, oh, I just got hung up on. So don't feel bad, and I knew what I was saying. So it's not you. And sometimes I have to do that to prove to them it's not them. No matter who it is on the other end, if you know exactly what you're doing, it's still tough. So that's a great question because anyone who's in business, you've got to know cold calling. Because if you know the cold calling skill, even if you don't cold call, that skill is going to take you very far in any setting.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm curious too, if you don't mind me asking, if someone is thinking, oh, hey, I could call my local hospital or I could call my local corporations. Who is it that they're looking to reach inside those organizations?
Yeah, great question. So we target anyone who does the hiring or the transferring. So for example, in a hospital, you want to tackle HR, right? HR is doing the new hires. So their new CEO that might come in, their new head physician, any of the executives, anyone visiting, they'll do a lot of that. And then for the big corporations, sometimes they'll have their own travel coordinator. Like I worked as a travel coordinator for 2 years for a big NGO, and I managed 100 people's travel across Canada. And I had my own when I left, they had to hire 2 people to replace me. But I had my own little position in a big organization. So some organizations have travel coordinators. I would ask for them first. If they don't have a travel coordinator, just ask for the HR director or HR coordinator, whoever. I say, I'd like to speak to anyone who handles your accommodation in your company. Anyone who's looking for temporary accommodation or furnished accommodation. I don't start the spiel. I'm like, you want to get to the right person first, because sometimes the gatekeeper will just be like, I'm not pissing off my colleague by sending you over, even though that person doesn't have a clue what I'm talking about.
What?
So it's always like, hey, can I speak to the person who handles your furnished accommodations? And sometimes you'll need to call that company. I've contacted a company 10 to 15 times before they finally got back to me, but then they gave me 1.5 years of deals.
Mm-hmm.
So, I heard the touch point for calls has gone from 7 times to 14.
Wow.
14 times to touch someone before that relationship. So you can imagine, how daunting it's been over the last 3 years to consistently go back. And finally someone's like, oh yeah, you did call me 4 months ago. I was looking for your number. We do have something coming up. And that happens all of the time.
The other thing that I used to utilize back in my cold calling days, I feel like I'm going back a couple of decades here, but another line that I always used to share at the very beginning of the call, hey, my name's Stacey. I have a problem and I'm hoping you can help me.
Yes, that's up. Yes.
So my problem is I don't know who to talk to.
Yes.
Right. And so, hey, I'm looking to connect with X, Y, and Z. Can you let me know who's the best person for me to speak with?
Yes.
Right. And the minute that you introduce yourself and you let that person know that you have a problem, that you're hoping they can help you, it takes the barrier down. It's not that I'm calling to sell you something. It's like, I'm literally asking, can you help me find this right person?
Correct. That is one of the key phrases. Yes, you're right. That is a really good one. Whoever's listening, write that one down. That one works.
Yeah. And I think also when people understand that you are looking to help and support, or you are looking for, I have a solution. Do you have a problem? And figuring that out in real time, it takes it from a salesy conversation to, oh, this is just a helpful or an exploratory discussion to see if there's anything I can do to support you in when you're bringing new people on or relocating people or whatever the case might be.
Correct. And another one we often do is, let's say I'm calling an insurance provider. I'll say, we work with a lot of insurance providers just like yourself, and here's what we do for them. Does that sound like something that we could help you with? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're helping them, help us. This is fantastic, right?
Right. The other thing I will say is just the mentality around cold calling, I think is so important. And Aisha, I know you said that you still get hung up on, it is still a reality. Not everyone is going to have time or want to speak with you. But the mentality around putting a time parameter on your cold calling for the day, whether it's 30 minutes a day or 60 minutes a day or 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week, whatever that looks like for you, commit to it, because it's going to be very easy to find a reason why you shouldn't or couldn't do it that day.
Correct.
It's going to be real easy to find the excuses.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And I love your saying behind your head, which is progress over perfection. That is one of me and Sarah, we fire, aim, shoot.
Yeah.
The bullet's gone before we're done our sentence. We're like, should we do this? It's like, boom, gone. Okay. Well, no. And that's how we do it, because the longer you think and try to plan and try to figure it out, and again, try to promise yourself that the ball's going to go in before you shoot, you'll just sit and you'll wait and you'll ponder. And that's really, why there's so few percentage of people who take action. It's the fear of, taking that shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your website? And so now you've built this platform where midterm rental owners and providers can register. Tell us a little bit about the landscape and how it works.
Yeah, great question. So we have a listing and booking platform for any host or property manager or arbitrager who would like to list their fully furnished rental that's available for minimum 30-day stays on the platform. The platform works in two different ways. So you can either have B2C clients who will come on the platform, independently book you, message you, I want your property, is it available, so on and so forth. And then we have a second part of it where we have our B2B clients funneling in, and then our account manager will contact you directly if you're listed on our platform. Hey, Stacey, I really like your place in Vancouver. We have a booking from January 1st to March 1st. It's a traveling nurse. This is the rate that their budget is. What rate would you like those months? Are you good to book? And then the account manager handles that entire booking. And the host, all they have to do is collect the rent. The account manager will handle the booking, the payment, the check-in, the communication throughout the stay, all the way to the checkout. So our B2B bookings are extremely off-hands for the host, which is why they love them. And then again, how we are maintaining high-quality guests is through these B2B relationships, relocation specialists, insurance providers. So we know anyone who comes in has a reason for their stay, has a checkout date, and then they will be leaving. And so our platform is quite comprehensive in that way.
Now, one of the things you mentioned earlier is that you onboard and vet your owners and hosts. Talk to us a little bit about the requirements, or how are you vetting owners and hosts?
Yeah, great question. So we try to have a conversation with most of our hosts. They onboard, we review the listing, review the description, we review the photos, making sure everything looks good. What we're in the middle of switching to for our B2B clients to vet in a heavier process is we're going to be using a program called Matterport. I don't know if you've seen that being used before. It's the 3D. So that's what we're going to try to introduce to our B2B hosts. So that way we can do more of a vetting walkthrough of the unit. We sometimes do video walkthroughs, or if the unit is close by. In the previous years, I have gone and done property tours in each of the close by cities and gone and met the hosts and go and do a walkthrough.
Gotcha. I love that. I love that. And then as far as the onboarding process, let's say someone goes to your website and they're like, I want to put my unit on here. After they fill out a form online, what is the timeline, a typical timeline for vetting and onboarding?
Yeah, so it's super easy. So it's very much like Airbnb, where you can just go on immediately and log in, list your listing, your platform, your description. Once the listing is complete, within the day, someone will review it. They'll email back saying your listing has been approved or it is pending and here's what's missing. And then the host, literally within 24 to 48 hours, you can be listed on our website. And from the time you contact us, hey, Aisha, I have a 3-bedroom in Vancouver. From that moment, you'll be on our list. And if anything comes in between that time, moving forward, we'll contact you directly and say, oh, something's come in. Are you ready? Something's come in. Can you send us photos faster? We've actually booked many properties pending listing before they even got to the website because I needed the pictures really quick and I could close the deal fast. One time I closed the deal before the locks were even put on the door. We can move quite quickly, which is nice.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that this platform serves all of North America throughout Canada and the US. Are there certain geographies that are more in demand than others?
So I can't speak to the US just yet because we're starting to just really get busy and kind of grass. But I know in the GTA, our busiest is like Burlington, Oakville, Mississauga, Etobicoke, like those. There's a lot of, in the GTA, there is a lot of companies similar to ourselves that primarily focus in the GTA. So we kind of let them do their thing. But that little stretch between Hamilton and downtown where it's mostly suburban homes, which are harder to get because, of course, as you know, it's very expensive to buy in Oakville, Burlington, Mississauga. So for people to buy and then rent out is getting more and more rare. So we hold that portfolio, and Burlington, I would say, is our busiest city because we have a lot of residential people who are doing renovations, who want to move there, but a very little amount of investors who just buy in Burlington and don't live there and they rent it out. So I would say that's the area.
And so if anyone is listening, they're like, I don't know what GTA means.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Greater Toronto area. Yes.
Got it. Greater Toronto area. Gotcha. So good. So what I want to do right now is I want to move to the lightning round. Okay. And so I'm going to ask you to answer these questions with the very first thing that comes to mind. Okay. Hopefully they're going to be easy. Okay. First question is, where is your favorite place to vacation?
Bermuda. Because I get to go there and see all my friends and family, and the ocean is crystal clear and the beaches are stunning. So yes.
I have heard Bermuda is just gorgeous. Remind me what took you there?
My husband's job. He used to work in the utility sector, and he ran there in the utility company. He ran their whole energy efficiency program. And then I got to go there and do corporate events. So all these wealthy people would come and I would take them on like private yacht tours and private cocktails on a private island in a private house. And I got very lucky and I got to work with some really great people. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I've heard Bermuda is drop dead gorgeous. I feel like
are you located?
I'm in Ohio.
You're in Ohio, you're in the States. Okay. It's not far from you. It's only about, from Toronto, it's about a 2-hour flight. So from Ohio, it's not going to be far. It's like under 3 hours.
There you go. Might need to happen sooner rather than later. Yeah. All right. Next question is, what's one place you've never been that you want to visit?
Oh, Greece.
It's pretty amazing.
Have you been? Oh, yes.
That's
on the list.
Yes. I just actually took a Mediterranean cruise this spring and we had 3 stops in Greece and it was so phenomenal. And I feel like my culinary palate has changed. Like last night, I had Greek salad because I've fallen in love with the way they make Greek salad in Greece, which is totally different than how we make it in the US.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'll keep that there right at the top.
That's right. Keep it there. Keep it there. All right. Next question is, what's one thing you know now that you wished you knew when you were starting out in the world of midterm rentals?
That it's going to be harder than you think, but networking is going to be a large part of the answer and creating a good network. Like, don't try to do it on your own. Reach out there, create partnerships. What I realized, and I found this in the real estate industry, investing industry from the beginning, I found people to be very collaborative, very sharing. And I love that about real estate investors. I think that is amazing. And I also think it's just because we're very like-minded individuals. We're all out there trying to grow and educate ourselves and do better for ourselves and our families. And I think that energy just resonates. And so, yeah, network and learn and put yourself out there.
Love it. All right. Next question. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
If you work on your mind and your body, all else will align. If you are in good health and you learn to, work on your mind, whatever that is, for me, it's meditation and reading and just mindfulness. Sometimes I actually never even learned to shut it down until recently. Recently, I learned how to be able to quiet my brain, which was a huge skill for me to take on. Once I mastered those two, the hurdles, anything that came my way, I started working out a lot more when I opened my business. Literally anything that came my way was still hard. But because my body was in tune with my mind and I had found tools to keep both of them going and pumping, really, truly, that is how I overcame all of those obstacles.
Such great advice. Such great advice. Love it. Last question. What's one thing and or person that you're grateful for today?
Oh, so many people, but I'll say today my dad, because he is the one who gave me my entrepreneurial spirit and blood. So I wouldn't be here today without watching him do all of the crazy stuff he did over the years. He was an entrepreneur my whole life. Till today, he retired this year, and till today I was his executive assistant. I would walk into the house and be like, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Can you do this for me? And I'd be like, my assistant is going to do all of those things for you. And when he is done, I will let you know. And that is what ended up happening, because I helped him my whole life. So yeah, my dad.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Aisha, if someone wants to find out more about you or the website where they can register their midterm rental properties, where is the best place for them to find you online?
Thank you so much. My website is aishagovani.com. You can find me there and all the other stuff that I'm doing. And if you'd love to learn more about midterm rental properties, midtermrentalproperties.com.
Love it. Best URL out there. Thank you so much for being here. It's been so wonderful to chat with you. And I just want to say kudos to you for everything that you are doing to help others in the industry. It's so fabulous.
Thank you for having me. And it was a pleasure chatting with you. You really are delightful.
Thank you. All right, my friend, if you are serious about growing a thriving short-term rental business, do not miss out on our STR Sisterhood online community. Inside, you'll get access to weekly trainings, proven strategies, as well as practical tools to help you book more nights, boost your revenue, and run your rentals like a pro. Head over to strsisterhood.com to join us, and I cannot wait to welcome you in.